All right, guys. Welcome to the greenhouse orientation, the specifically earth waking greenhouse orientation. Um, this is what you can expect in this video is exactly the world of the greenhouse, what it is, the functionality of it, the daily functions, the weekly functions, and also everything that happens within the greenhouse. So let's get into it. So the greenhouse it's the womb of the garden. It's where we produce food for the kitchen, for the community of 40 plus 50, 40 to 50 people that are currently living here. And so let's get right into it. All right. So this is our greenhouse currently. This is one of our greenhouses here on Grace One. As you can see, it's made out of bamboo. It's an open air. We don't have screens on it. And it has a plastic roof. These are grenadillas. And so we're gonna get into the beds, what kind of beds we have later on. And let's get in here. Let's get into it. So the greenhouse has three sub boxes. One of them is, so if you're the leader of the greenhouse, these are the things that are going to be important if you're holding this box. So number one, watering. Number two is soil. And number three is planting. And so together they cover the complete cycle of these greenhouse plants. Give me just a second here. So we are nourishing and we are birthing, and the ground is in there because of the soil. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. So continuing on, this is what very healthy arugula looks like. This is in our other greenhouse, greenhouse number two. Okay, so let's get into watering. One of the things that's very important with watering is going to be the frequency. And this is going to depend on the season that you're in, whether we're in dry season or rainy season. And we're here in Costa Rica, so we're in the tropics. It's cooler during wet season, and we don't have as much sunshine. So the frequency of how much you're going to water, or the frequency, is going to depend on the time of the year. And also it's going to depend on the size of the plants, the location of them. And another very important thing here is to observe and to be present daily and just spend time with the plants. And I also just want to point out that within each of these worlds that I'm sharing, there is an infinite depth to the level that you can take this. So, as far as the frequency, there's a lot of different factors that play into this. Also, another one would be what kind of species of plants that are in the greenhouse. So that's not labeled here. I just want to make you guys aware that this particular video is just scratching the surface of what it takes to run a greenhouse. So let's get on with it. Quantity, how much water? And how do you know when there is too much or not enough? Well, if there's not enough water, you're going to see the plants withering and they're going to curl up. And the reason that they're going to be doing that is they're telling you that they want more water. And so, hang on just a second. I lost my light here. Sure, let's go. Here we go. And the reason that they're curling up is that they're asking for water. And If they have too much water, you'll see the soil potentially starting to form moss or um, just getting discoloration. Um, and one easy way that you can tell if the moisture is correct, the quantity, is the finger method, where you just stick your finger into the soil like this, and you'll know if, if you got an inch and a half of soil on your finger that has moisture on it, that's probably good. And so again, this is very important to observe and to be present. There's no right or wrong method. This is simply uh, a a blueprint to go deeper with. So, how much water? Well, again, it depends on the season. It depends what plants. It depends if they have shade or if they don't have shade. And so one of the key factors here is building the relationship with the plants. And so that's very, very important. Another way that you can tell whether or not it has enough water is to take soil and just grab a handful and squeeze it. Um, and it should be just loose and crumbly. Like, you don't want it to be sticking together because that's too much water. And again, depending on what kind of plants you have. So here at Earthwaking, we use in our greenhouse, we use garden hoses, and some plants don't like water on their leaves, and so that's another thing to be aware of when you're running the greenhouse. Is some plants like to be watered on the soil rather than on their leaf. But plants such as arugula and most plants like to be watered on the soil, but for the most part. So observe, be present, and timing. When's the best time to water? Well, here in Costa Rica, the best time is early morning. And the reason is because during rainy season, we don't have much sunshine, and it's only in the morning that we have sunlight. So the great thing about the morning is that the leaves can dry off, especially since we're watering mostly. We're just taking the water nozzle and we're showering the whole bed evenly. The reason that it's important to water in the morning is so that your leaves can dry and they don't have a fungus on them anymore. So, and then during midday heat, that's a no-no. A lot of the water that you're going to be spraying onto the soil is just going to evaporate. And also, after it gets dark is also not a good time, because then your plants are much more likely to have diseases and not be as healthy. So timing. Key message: in the greenhouse, you're the rain. Your rhythm determines their life. So the most important thing that I can tell you is just to spend time in the greenhouse and to be present, to watch, to listen, to observe. Okay, next one. Point number 2, healthy soil. You are going to want to have very nutritious soil, and the nutrition matters, where you're getting it from matters, and the condition of it matters. So these are the 3 things we're going to be diving into deeper. Nutrition. What is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and why is it important? Well, nitrogen is very important for the plant growth. I know it says leaf growth, but ultimately the nitrogen is gonna give your plants life and initially when they're younger, you're going to want nitrogen. And then as they come into more of a mature, medium-sized plant, it's important to have phosphorus, and the potassium is also going to factor into them fruiting and etc. So you're going to want to have very balanced soil. And it doesn't have to be balanced. We're going to get into fertilizers on a different video. But for this video in particular, we're just going to keep it simple. You want a balanced soil. And so let's go on to the next slide here. All right. Source. Here at Grace One, here at Earthwaking Village, our soil is coming from our soil center. And we're actually making this. We make a lot of our own soil through our food waste, through our compost piles, and also bokashi. That's going to be a separate video. We have been buying some of our soil, and so it's important that you know where it's coming from and who's making it, and also their intention of making it, so that you know it's organic. So yes, you only want to use clean chemical-free materials, and we're doing that here at Earthwaking. All right, let's keep on going. The condition of it. You want it to be crumbly soil. You know, we have used, it's important to experiment too. So a lot of the times what I've done when I ran the greenhouse is I would take half of a bed and I would do it one way, and then I would do half of the other bed a different way, and then I would experiment and just see what works, what doesn't work. This is literally a science experiment, a science project, and I'm giving you the framework that you can operate within the greenhouse science experiment. So again, observe, be present, watch, listen. And so the smell of the soil should be very earthy. If it doesn't smell earthy, the acidity and the alkalinity is probably out of balance. Another good sign is earthworms. So, and how to re-moisten, re-liven, or aerate depleted soil. So another thing that we do here that gets done every week is we spray microorganisms, which is live mushrooms, liquid mushrooms on every greenhouse bed. So that's how we continue to keep our soil active and healthy. Feed the soil, and the soil will feed everything else. So something I want to dive into here also is anytime that plants get harvested, it's very important that we give back to the soil the things that we took out, because it's just like everything else, you know, our bodies need nutrition to live. And if we're not continuously replenishing our bodies, will wither away and we'll cease to exist. And it's the same way with our spirit. You know, what are we feeding our spirit with? Are we feeding our spirit with the word every day? Are we growing spiritually? Very important. So my point is if you're running the greenhouse box, you want to add nutrition in the form of soil every time that you harvest and before every time that you plant. So next box is planting. So timing. It's very important to be in sync with the patterns of nature and to align heaven's order with earth's rhythm. Like everything in Ecclesiastes, it talks about everything under the sun has a purpose. And so that's what we're doing here. We are going to be planting according to the moon cycles. Waxing moon, we're going to be transplanting above ground crops, and waning moon, we're going to be planting root crops. And here's a little bit more of a explanation. During new moon, new moon is actually the full moon is the best time to be planting like little baby transplants in the greenhouse. And the reason is because they are already concentrating their energy on going up. And so, yeah, like 3 days after full moon is actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 3 days, within 3 days after the full moon is the best time to plant, because of the energy is now going to be moving back down into the roots and getting a strong roots for them to um, grow. So hang on just a second, guys. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Spacing and sowing depth. Again, I don't know why this slide is that. This slide is not correct. Planting with, so the spacing is going to vary based on what kind of plants you have, whether it's kale, whether it's arugula. Like arugula can be placed very close, same way with radishes. Whereas things like kale is a little bit further apart. And the sowing is going to depend on whether or not you're transplanting baby starts from a tray or you're direct seeding. So all of this is very important. And the way that we transplant a lot of our babies is literally just taking a finger, or you can take a stick, put it in the soil, and then you can just pop your little baby right in it. Okay. So what gets transplanted? Kale, arugula, lettuce. The lettuce should be up here actually. That's what I'm seeing. And what we directly seed is mostly beans. There's very little that we directly seed. Most of the things that you're going to be planting inside the Earth Awakened greenhouse is going to be from the nursery. And so that's what we're going to be mostly focusing on. The planning and the timelines. So this is very important, is to be in communication with the kitchen and know what they need and what they're going to need in the future. So whoever is holding the kitchen box, like it's very important to be in communication with them, and particularly around what grows well and how we can support the kitchen, because that's ultimately what we're doing here. And also to be with the communication with the kitchen comes the communication with whoever is holding the nursery box, and being in a communication of 2 weeks out, a month out, like having trays of babies being planted weekly. Very important. And so labeling, the way that we label things here, every greenhouse, every bed has a number, And let's see here, right here. So you can see here, every bed has a number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of these, this is the map of the greenhouse, and every green area here is a number of a bed, so that when anything gets planted, we send the what was planted, the location, like the bed location, whether it was bed number 1, bed number 25, and also the date. All this gets sent to the box holder of this data entry. And so this is another communication that happens to whoever is the garden spreadsheet box holder. I just want to talk a little bit about this tracking the germination, and this is again, it's communicating with the nursery, so very important. All right, so recapping, we touched on the watering, the soil, and the planting. The watering is, it doesn't have to be you that does it. Like right now, we have multiple people that are watering. However, if you want the greenhouse to be running optimally and you're in the beginning of holding this box, I highly recommend that you do the watering for the purpose of observation and building that relationship with plants. As far as soil goes, again, NPK, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, where we're getting it, what is the condition of it, what kind of plants are we going to be planting into it, are all very, very important factors. The planting cycles of the moon, the spacing, and the planning, the relationship with the kitchen, with the nursery, all these things are very important. And so I just want to show this picture real quick. What you're seeing here is, you can see the numbers here of the beds: bed number 3, bed number 4. These beds are hugelkultur bed, and what that means is that these beds are actually at least 18 inches deep. Some of these are a little bit deeper, and these beds all have logs underneath them, along with leaves, organic material, and then the top 12 inches is soil. So that's what you're seeing here. This is on the left side of the greenhouse. And what you're seeing here is a different form of hugelkultur beds. These also have logs in them, but they're raised up higher. So this is on the right side of the greenhouse. And so let's keep on going. This is actually the end of the slide. And if you have any questions, make sure you reach out. And again, thank you for taking the initiative and the inspiration of being the greenhouse box holder. This video is for sowing and growth purposes, and also for anyone coming into Earthwaking and has a desire to hold the greenhouse box. Thank you for your willingness and your contribution, because what we're doing here is we are literally teaching future generations how abundant that we really are when we align our will with God's will, and to be good stewards of his kingdom, of what he's given us. And so what we're doing here is we're passing on the information of the fruits that he's given us. And so just, it's a very beautiful thing that you're doing. I really appreciate it, and future generations are appreciating it. And so just thank you. And, you know, as in Deuteronomy, it says that everything that our hands do gets blessed when we're in alignment with God's will. So I just pray that over anybody that's watching this video. And thank you very much.